Hello and welcome to my first ever What's for Dinner. I'm sharing with you these 4 easy weeknight meals that my family loves, and I hope you join along. The first one is Chow Mein. This is one of my favorite dinners. It is from damndelicious.net. I love her recipes. So I will link below so you can have the exact recipe, but what I do is I pretty much quadruple her sauce and I use way more vegetables than what she calls for. I have about 12 cups between my cabbage, my celery, and my onion because I really like to pack in the veggies, and I use 12 ounces of noodles, and then I quadrupled the sauce as well to accommodate all the extra vegetables. This makes way more than what we eat for dinner, but I absolutely love it for leftovers, and my kids do too. So we eat a ton of cabbage when we make this meal, and what mom isn't excited when their kids eat cabbage? So again, you can go to her link below to get the exact proportions for the sauce, but it has soy sauce, fresh ginger, white pepper, and brown sugar, and that's basically it. Some garlic too. Garlic is in there. So that's what's in the sauce, and I have that set aside, and I am just adding some sesame oil to the pan. Her recipe doesn't call for that, but I'm just giving a nice warm base to add all of my vegetables on. I'm going to add my onion, celery, and cabbage. Those are the 3 vegetables that you use in the chow mein. This is supposed to be a copycat of the Panda Express, I believe. I've never had it at a restaurant, but when I saw this on her website, it looked so good to me. And we love veggie meals because one of my daughters doesn't eat meat, and when it comes to stir fry, I can pretty much shove any vegetable in there. My kids will eat it because they like it that much. So here I am starting with my vegetables because they need to sweat out for a long time. They just kind of cook low and slow, and it makes them perfect. So I haven't added any sauce. I just have a little bit of that sesame oil. And this meal is really, really good for a weeknight because when I was working, I used to do this all the time. I would prep this meal or any of my stir fries. I would chop all my vegetables before I went to bed at night, and then when I got home after work, it was all ready to go. That is the most time-intensive part of this, is chopping all your vegetables. I didn't even show it on video because you can do this way ahead of time and then start dinner with your prepared veggies, and it makes it so easy. So once my vegetables are getting kind of tender, I end up adding a box of lo mein noodles, and I got those right at Walmart. You can get more authentic noodles at like an Asian restaurant store. We do that sometimes. We have an Asian grocery store that we like to shop at, but these are just from Walmart. My noodles are done. I think they boiled for about 6 minutes. So I am straining them, and then I dump them right onto my veggies, and I add all of that sauce. Once again, her recipe is below, but I add 12 cups of vegetables instead, and I leave the noodles the same, and I quadruple the sauce because I really want it to be jam-packed with vegetables. That doesn't have to be how you do it. The flavor profile would be very similar if you did way less veggies and you kept the noodles the same. You would just have a much higher noodle to veggie ratio. And I feel like adding vegetables into noodles should be an Olympic sport because it is very hard to get it mixed well together. So I try my best to stir it, and then it never comes out the best, but what I do is scoop noodles and then add veggies on top. So here's what it looks like in the end. But my husband and I, we like to add cashews on top and sesame seeds. All my kids pretty much like to add sesame seeds too, but none of them will add the cashews, even though they love to eat cashews, but they don't like it on the noodles. But that's how we get our protein in at the very end. Next, we're moving on to Ravioli Bake. This is another really easy dinner, perfect for an evening when you're busy, because the part that I'm showing you right now, getting the ravioli in a pan, you can do the night before. You could do it in the morning. I actually am doing this part in the morning and just showing it to you, and then I stick it in the fridge until I'm ready to bake it. So you add a little bit of sauce at the bottom of a coated pan. You add your frozen cheese ravioli, again a vegetarian meal because one of my daughters doesn't eat meat, so if I made beef ravioli she wouldn't eat it. And then we add in a jar of sauce. I add some water to the jar just so that I can get the rest of the sauce out and the ravioli will absorb it. And then I just sprinkle feta cheese as much as I want. I don't measure it. You can go as much or as little, but feta is really good. Add it into the bake. And then I add some Parmesan on top, and that will go right into the oven. What I am doing is I am making ravioli, cauliflower, and bread. The bread is the only thing that actually has like a temperature associated with it, and it had to bake for 6 minutes at 425. So I decided 425 is how I was going to bake everything. So my ravioli is in the oven at 425. The ravioli has been pre-cooked. Nothing in there is raw, so it's just baking it until I am happy with it. So I wait for it to get kind of crispy looking. The sauce is bubbling. And while that's going, I have my cauliflower. I have a frozen bag of cauliflower from Walmart. It's the Great Value brand. I add in a tablespoon of coconut oil. It's very hot in my house, so you saw it was already runny. I just sprinkled in as much Parmesan and parsley as I wanted, and I let this go for about 20 minutes in the oven. You can go more or less. I like my cauliflower to have a little bit of crunch still, so I add it into the oven while the ravioli is still baking. And when it's halfway through, again, I do probably 20-25 minutes, I just kind of give it a good stir so that it gets an even roast, and then I added in my bread. So the bread had to bake for 6 minutes. If you saw my dollar off sticker on it, I got it at Aldi for 39 cents. That's always my favorite time to buy any of the artisan breads, because if they're marked down, they're very, very inexpensive. So while everything is baking, I am just cutting some cheese, actual cheese, not farting. I got my food out of the oven, and then that's what my roasted cauliflower looks like. It's one of my favorite vegetable sides. You can see some of the ravioli sauce fell onto the bread, and I'm taking my electric knife. If you don't have an electric knife and you love to have bread like we do, you need to get one. I will link one below from Amazon and my Amazon store, but it is so good. It cuts the bread perfect, and here you go. Here is our dinner. It's ravioli. I had some strawberries cleaned on the side. I don't think I needed to show you that. If you do want to know how I clean my fruits, I have a video. But now we're moving on to steamed vegetable dumplings. I didn't realize that all of these videos so far were going to be a meatless, but we do eat meatless quite often because it's easier for one of my kids who won't eat meat, and none of us have to have it. So this is a recommended dinner from Trader Joe's. I had never made these before, and let me tell you, we all love them. I am steaming broccoli. Steamed broccoli is something we do all the time. I never add anything to it because we all like broccoli as it is, so why take something already delicious and make it unhealthy? I have white rice just made in the Instant Pot. If you don't know how to do this, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you put 2 cups of white rice in, you add 2 cups of water. Whatever amount of rice, you add that same amount of water. You close it, you seal your Instant Pot, and you hit the rice button. It's so easy. And then while that is sitting, the rice can sit for a while and it stays pretty darn good. I am going to steam the dumplings. So these dumplings are from Trader Joe's. They're all vegetable, and they're going to look disgusting. I'm not going to lie. I know they visually don't look beautiful, but I am adding them into a inner pot. If you don't have one of these steaming baskets for your inner pot, I will again link below to an accessory set that I love and I got on Amazon, and it just allows you to do different things. So the steamer basket's great for vegetables or for these dumplings. I have my Instant Pot sealed. You hit the steam button. Don't let it actually steam. That is confusing, but you want it to be on the steam setting, not steaming. And then once it hits the 4-minute mark, it'll beep. You release the actual steam, and I'm taking out the dumplings. I had to do this in 2 parts, so that was my first batch, and I'm adding the second batch again on the steam setting for 4 minutes while it's sealed. It came to pressure really quickly right after the first one. Once both batches are done, I have a pan set up with a little heated sesame oil, and I'm adding my dumplings right to the sesame oil. You do not need to do this. They are already cooked. However, I wanted to get a nice little crunch, a little sear on all the sides. My husband really likes, even when we make gnocchi, something that could be soft, he likes to fry it up. So I decided to fry these up a little bit, get some color on them, make them look a little prettier, even though they do have some color on them when they came from the package. I had recently taken a poll on what I need to buy from Trader Joe's, and the Gyoza sauce and the dumplings themselves were recommended, and I'm so grateful to whoever suggested it because we love it, and it definitely is added into our regular rotation, and it made for a quick, easy dinner. Everyone in my family enjoyed it, and it was pretty darn healthy to boot. Last but not least is my Mexican meal. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Those are the mini chicken tacos that were also recommended from Trader Joe's. They are so good with my Spanish rice. I have a video giving you step-by-step directions on how to make this, but it's basically the 1-to-1 ratio with rice again. So whatever part rice to water, and I add in a can of tomato sauce, onion powder, garlic, salt, and dried cilantro. Super delicious. My family loves it. And as I get these tacos into the oven, it's less than $5 for an entire box, and they're very good. While they're in the oven, I am making the refried beans, just a can from Aldi. It is the vegetarian or fat-free version, I can't remember which one. And clean my grapes, flipping the tacos halfway through just so that they get an even crisp. And you'll also see that I add salsa to my refried beans. It just thins it out a little bit so it's easier to dip and use with our food. The rice was all done. This meal is seriously so easy to come together. There really is very little prep, and the only homemade version is the rice, and you can see that it's pretty darn simple. The Instant Pot really makes rice come together very easy, and if you don't make rice in your Instant Pot, whether the Spanish rice or the white rice, you're missing out. So those are my 4 meals. They're all wonderful meals to make on weeknights when you are maybe crunched for time or coming home from work or you have kids activities, and I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to check out all my other videos and let me know if you want me to do more of these what's for dinner. I do cook every single night almost, and I would love to share more with you in this fashion. Thank you so much.